Uganda sees our environment is good. Trees are cut and then what shall we do? The only solution is to plant more trees. Oh, plant more trees and make the environment shine.
Fellow Ugandans, plant more trees for providing shelter to animals and birds.
This film is about the importance of Mabira Central Forest Reserve. It brings out the ecological, social and economic importance of the forest. It is intended to justify why Mabira Central Forest Reserve should be conserved. It brings out both the importance of the forest and governance shortfalls in the process of the aborted giveaway of the forest to a sugar corporation for extension of a sugarcane plantation.
Plant more trees and make the environment shine.
Mabira Forest Reserve is one of the prime conservation areas in Uganda. Located on the northern shores of Lake Victoria and feeding River Nile and Lake Choga to the north, Mabira Forest provides a major source of water to millions of Ugandans and hundreds of millions of other people along the Nile Basin. As one of Africa's major water catchment areas, Mabira Forest has for many years served as a critical factor in sustaining the water balance and regulating the flow of rain.
Without this forest, the cultivation would probably be difficult because of the source of the rainfall. Most of the rivers originate from this forest. You'll also see that this area has a lot of rain that helps the people who are growing crops around this area. And so the existence of this forest makes it even the area fertile for agricultural production and other activities. So it is an important asset for Uganda, it's an important asset for the people surrounding the forest. You will certainly be able to observe that the government of Uganda has put in a lot of effort to conserve this area, and I think it is in the interest of the people of Uganda that this forest remain managed as such.
Some 100 years ago, it is estimated that half of Uganda was covered with thick forests. This forest cover consisted of tropical forest belts, one running from the eastern highlands through the shores of Lake Victoria, the Lake Crescent. Another belt linked the southwestern corner of Uganda through the slopes of Rwenzori Mountains up to Budongo Forest. But these tropical rainforests have been reduced to hectares. This is a result of both heavy commercial and subsistence agriculture.
Long ago, 1900, about the turn of last century, Uganda was covered by 52% of forest. By 2000, we had managed to reduce that percentage to a half, from 10 million hectares of forest to less than 5 million hectares. So in other words, we were able to reduce the percentage of forestry by half in 100 years. If we are going to go by the same rate, and realizing that now we have got more capacity, more machinery, we are a bigger population, we can reduce this forestry percentage at a much faster rate. It would mean in the next 30 to 50 years, there would not be a natural forest standing in this country.
The Mabira Forest, trapped between large commercial sugar and tea estates, was overexploited. As a result of prolonged use of poor methods of agriculture, the surrounding farming areas have been exhausted. The Sugar Corporation of Uganda, commonly known as SCOL or Mehta, puts little or no efforts in irrigating this vast sugar plantation surrounding the forest. Their failure to apply fertilizers and other farm inputs has rendered soils here unproductive, pushing the company to demand for more arable land with little consideration to the potential supply of the nearby outgrower scheme.
To change the Mabira towards the growing of sugarcane, we think it is not good, because the percentage here in the community, it is 95% benefiting from Mabira and 5% benefiting from school. We signed the agreement. We are given a compartment 176 of Mabira Forest community, because our village, Bovunya village, where we are now, is adjacent to the compartment 176 of the Mabira Forest Reserve. So we co-manage.
We are coordinating the collaborative forest management communities. One is the Koko Bovunya, known as COFSIDA, Conservation for Future Sustainable Development Association, and one is in Nagoje sub-county called NACOBA, Nagoje Community Biodiversity Association, and we are now involved in the development of an ecotourism center in Nagoje sub-county in compartment number 211 of Mabira Forest under agreement with the National Forest Authority.
I'm Chizito Margaret. What I know about this place, this river is Musamya in our community name, as our community name.
We hear the forest is going. What is your concern?
My concern, I can't agree with the going of that forest, because I can't agree.
Which forest, by the way? You are saying that forest?
That's the Mabira Forest. It's the Mabira Forest. Yes.
Why don't you agree that it should go?
As I have already mentioned, if it goes, the environment will change. It means we can call the desert to come here. But if it's desert, means everything will go wrong. Rain and oxygen and anything. Yes.
So Mehta shouldn't touch it?
We don't need him to touch it at all.
The map in this film paints a very worrying picture. See the true extent of the areas that have been targeted for clearing to pave way for sugar plantations. And see what is likely to be left of the forest when the next round of degazettement demand is made. The population and the civil society organizations are concerned.
When we cut down the 7,180 hectares of Mabira Forest that was proposed, would lose $45 million. Now, if you compare the $45 million and $20 to $25 million that was proposed, purely in economic terms, the conservation value is much more superior to economic value that was proposed.
How did we come to that, 45 and 20?
You know, the 20, 25, that was just, you sell sugar and you pay taxes. That's how they came about. For us, what we looked at were the different values that we get out of the forest. In fact, that is being got out of the forest right now. The first one is timber. The second one is the energy provision to local communities. The third one is domestic water, which you're going to lose. The third one was tourism. The fourth one was medicinal plants. 75% of the Ugandan population still depend on traditional medicine. So it is extremely important. When you put all these factors together, it came out that actually Mabira Forest is providing over $45 million to this economy.
This is a wholesale handover of precious forests. Once these areas have been converted, imagine what the next request will be within 5 years. We anticipate that these additional areas, another 3,800 hectares, will be demanded, leaving the core nature reserve with no effective buffer from the cultivation all around it, hence reducing this once magnificent forest to a shadow of its former self.
For me as a conservationist, when you cut down a quarter of the forest, if you cut down 7,180 hectares of Mabira forest, you are ecologically going to kill the whole forest reserve. And we did calculate even the total amount that would lose if the ecological character of Mabira forest changed. It came to about $200 million.
So really degazetting Mabira is like committing environmental suicide, because it is the only really forest that is remaining with very important biodiversity value.
The widespread devastation of Uganda's forests on private land now leaves forest reserves such as Mabira as the only alternative pool of accessible forest resources like medicine and wood fuel for the majority of Ugandans.
Mabira Forest is a watershed for Lake Victoria, it's a watershed for River Nile, it's a watershed for Kichoga. So it's a very important forest reserve and certainly contributes a lot to the economy of this country. I'm not mentioning the other ecotourism issues and biodiversity and timber and firewood for the community.
Both Mabira and South Busoga forests, you know, they are forests which are almost within reach of the basin of Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria produces a lot of wealth for the East African countries through fishing. Anything that disrupts the water quality of Lake Victoria will disrupt the earnings of East African community countries. So for us, we always appeal to government to intervene and ensure that these forest reserves are protected. These forests are ecological forests. They protect the water bodies, they provide a good environment for even the cities very neighboring to them.
In addition to trees of medicine of value, Mabira Forest Reserve has been renowned for its potential to support research. Scientists come here to enrich their capacity in various ways. This recent team on natural forest product research for Eastern, Central and Southern Africa is an example. They are in Mabira to explore what the forest has to offer.
When you get the piece of it and you chew it, you can hear how hot it is. Yeah.
It tastes like hot pepper.
No, the back. You can just
okay.
How long does it take to grow?
Yeah, how long does it take to grow? These are basically hardwood trees and they take like 30, 40 years for good harvest. Okay. Yeah, these are hardwood. By the way, they are edible to humans and monkeys. Oh. They are like Vangueria apicculata, matugunda. Yes, they are like matugunda. Vangueria apicculata.
And it's for treating worms, no?
Yeah. So many ailments. Actually, this is the most famous in the Mabira Forest. Okay. Yeah, it treats so many diseases. And when mature, the bark tastes like hot pepper, piri piri. Yeah, the bark is like a piri piri. Yeah.
Yeah. But it can sterilize the tongue. In fact, if you take it, you can stay like 4 days. Yeah. The tongue really.
So let's.
Do you find it only in Uganda, or can you find it outside Uganda?
I don't know. Those people from other countries, I don't know if they can have that experience.
No, it is found in Kenya. It is there. I think South Africa it is there. The common, in fact, now they have put it under one name, Wabagia sultaris. Sultaris, yeah. Although before there was sultaris and then Ugandensis. But now the taxonomy is Wabagia sultaris.
For various reasons, agriculture in Uganda depends strongly on tropical rain forests. In addition to their critical role of rain formation and soil enrichment, they too are an important gene bank, without which agriculture and food security would be compromised. This would have a negative impact on the backbone of the country's economy, 90% of which depends on the activity.
The backbone cannot work without the muscle and without the flesh. And forestry is the muscle and the flesh to make you flex your bones and carry things. So agriculture gives us the production and the products out there. But you need that nice muscle to move the process. And by the way, in the world we're only talking about a couple of dozen species like maize, wheat and so on. Ask yourself, where do they originally come from? Rice and so on, those grains. And in this country we still have populations of wild rice and their relatives. Now, the other linkage which I want to link to the rice, if you must get a pest and disease issues on rice, you'll need to go back to the wild relatives, which are in the which are in these conserved areas, in the natural forests. And indeed, it is what we must conserve. If the species is good to handle some ailments of disease like AIDS or cough and so on, then it's a basis for you to put it into wider use. And when you put it into wider use, you can pick allied material for that production system, but you need the bank, what we call a gene bank. And the gene bank, the reservoir for all this, are in the forests. Unfortunately, we are destroying these forests. We are changing these habitats. And there is this whole issue of climate change. We are going to lose some species. We must be very careful and we must be strategic.
Climate change is a reality. One of the greatest functions of forests like Mabira is to regulate climate and reverse the serious negative impact of global warming. Tropical rainforests like Mabira, an industry in nature, absorbs carbon dioxide and produces tons and tons of oxygen every day that would have been estimated to cost billions of US dollars per year by an industrial capitalist.
By the way, if you wanted to say to give it a value, it probably is priceless. Meaning that doesn't mean it has enough price, but the price is infinite. Because if one day there is no oxygen, just not even one day, give it 5 minutes. If in this room we remove oxygen from this room, 5 minutes, you and me would not be here. So how much value is that? So I wouldn't say it's $2 million for now, but I can tell you, you imagine a person, you take your person to the hospital, and what can save him is oxygen, and there is no oxygen, and this person passes away. How much can you, if they say bring money and you have it, how much would you pay for your person? Because the price is too high that you cannot give it. Life, certainly, giving a value to life is difficult. Put it the other way around. If you put in this place carbon dioxide and you stay with carbon dioxide for 5 minutes, you'll collapse.
Tourism is the fastest growing industry in Uganda. The country's rich biological diversity strongly supports the new trend of tourism, ecotourism. Investment from government and the private sector now provides numerous jobs to the country's growing population. Forests like Mabira form a home to a variety of animal and plant species, most of which are under threat of extinction. The hornbills, blue turacos and different primate species are a major focus for tourist attractions in the forests of Mabira.
We collaborate with the community, and that is our first security, because 75% of our employment here comes from the local community. That is in Najembe sub-county, the parishes around Najembe like Buvunya, Koko, Kavanga.